He's definitely in the spotlight for them as one of their main guys as a receiver, and they've got some other guys on their team that's got offers as well on both sides of the ball. Some young kids too, so it's real exciting to see what Coach Johnson is building down there in South Waco. And obviously, we talked about La Vega a little bit. I'm excited to watch them as well. They've got some experience coming back on both sides of the ball, so excited to see how they're able to put that together and really take a leap in this district that's new but is familiar as they put back one of the old districts with everybody in it, with Conley, La Vega, China Spring, Robinson, and all those teams that used to play out year in and year out back in the day, and they're back together. So I'm excited to see how those two teams fare out. What are some teams that you guys think are exciting to watch this coming up season?
Well, I definitely was looking forward to La Vega because, we were going to have him here on the station every Friday night on 94.5, on Magic 94.5. So I'm looking forward to seeing those guys. I'm also looking forward to see the alma mater of my children, China Spring. They historically have had a good program. They've had a recent, really successful run, winning back-to-back state championships. Coming up short last year, but I want to see if they can retool and rebuild and come out and be the China Spring of old. And whenever this district is formed the way it is, when particularly La Vega and China Spring are in the same district, it's usually the powerhouse of the entire state in that division. I look forward to it being the same this year. To be perfectly honest with you, I'm really interested to see what's going on over at Midway. Yeah. They've changed coaches. They had 5 years ago, they had a really good run. Mm-hmm. 5 or more probably now. They had a really good run. And I'm wanting to see, can they go back to the way it was when Coach Gamble was there? And could they, not only dominate the district, but be one of the top teams in the state? So I'm looking really forward to seeing what Midway has to offer. No. And, of course, we could travel a little further down I-35, and I'm always interested to see our arch rival, which is the Temple Wildcats here in Waco. And I'm always got one eye on those guys to see how they're going to fare. They've had a long history of being successful, and I'm want to see how things are going to turn out for the Temple Wildcats.
Well, like I said, everybody's undefeated right now. So the thing about Central Texas in high school football is that you're going to get surprises every year. I'm going to talk on a lesser level, and I'm going to talk about the Mart Panthers and Marlin and Chilton and those guys. That atmosphere in high school football is great. And I'm anxious to see these guys and what these guys are going to do because with Mart, year in and year out, you're going to have a team that's competing for a state championship. So I'm interested. Chilton kind of put some pressure on Mart, and also Marlin was a fair football team as well last year, playoff team that kind of went far into the playoffs. So I'm interested on that level. We know what La Vega is going to do. They're going to be there year in and year out. Like I said, and University has had a lot of hype this year. And they're doing some great things over there. So it's going to be interesting. Expectations are high, but expectations have to be met as well. So we'll see what's going on there. Hopefully they'll have a great year there. And like I say, football is in the air, and I'm very excited.
And let me just say this. This time of year, everybody's undefeated, right? No one has a loss. For some people, unfortunately, Friday night is the best they'll feel in the entire season. You know what I mean? Yeah. They have no losses, Hope is eternal.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But reality is going to slap some people in the face on Friday night. And maybe, hopefully for my Waco High Lions, they can change the fortune of their program. But, there are some programs that are going to change their fortune. They are going to create a new legacy. They are going to change the reputation of their their program. And then there are other programs where they're going to say, well, they're just the same old, same old.
Yeah, it only takes one playmaker to tip the scales, So we'll see. I mean, like I said, like everybody's undefeated right now. So year in and year out, you hear about somebody that you didn't expect to win, that's gonna come in and that's gonna have a good year and it's gonna excite the school and have everybody watching those guys. So I'm interested to see on that level who's that team this year.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to watch a few teams, and I like some of the teams that you named with those like Martin, Marlin, and Chilton. I mean, those are towns you hear when people talk about high school football. The town shuts down to come and watch these games play, especially when some of those teams are taking on each other, like a Martin or Chilton getting a chance to play against each other. So excited to watch that, and to echo what you said, Rocky, I'm definitely excited to see what my old alma mater is going to do. The Midway Panthers, they had some down years the last few years, but they got a new coach in there, and Joe Gillespie's coming from the college level and had some really, really good teams when he was at Stephenville coaching for some years. So excited to see what he can do and bring to this Panther squad that needs a breath of fresh air to come through the program and be able to do some new things there.
Y'all know what they need. Now, let's not be fun. They need some transfer.
Oh man,
y'all, let's be
talent,
honest.
Huh? Talent.
The lifeblood of the renaissance of the Midway program back in the mid 2000s was the influx of Waco kids into the program.
Yeah,
I see that possibly being the same thing this year. All those kids, whether it be Hunter and Bull and all those other kids who played, elementary and middle school ball with my son.
Yeah,
I wished them well and I rooted for them. I haven't rooted for Midway since, though. I just want you to know that. But that program was transformed by kids who were Waco ISD kids that went out to Midway and played, and maybe they could. I don't know who's on the roster right now. But if they get an influx of talent over at Midway, they could really, because they have the support system, they have the fan base, they have the infrastructure to be a great team.
Well, first of all, did they get out of that
gauntlet?
Yeah. They got out of there. Yeah.
Okay, well maybe they can win.
Yeah.
But
when they were in there with the Soto
and
Duncanville,
Cedar Hill,
you was playing for fifth and sixth place,
7th, 8th.
Yeah.
And I think that's part. To be honest with you, I think that assisted in running down the Waco High program, years ago. Because at the end of the day, when you're a downtrodden program and you have to go play some of the best high school
in the country.
In the nation.
I mean, it's discouraging when it's halftime and it's 55-0. Like you can play your hardest and you can be out there, but you're not being recognized because it's 55-0. And you got it. Those teams have an advantage at every position. The quarterback position, the wide receiver position. You have maybe 6 or 7 blue chip prospects playing for one team, and then you have, some junior college prospects playing for the other team. So, that's a disadvantage off the jump.
Now, Walker, let me ask you this, because this is something that I never faced. I didn't, when I played in high school, I felt like we had a chance to win. When I went out to Tyler Junior College and we was playing Navarro and Cisco and NEO and all those places, I felt like we had a chance to win. I never went into a game thinking that we didn't have a chance to win. You played for good old Texas Tech and you played for San Diego. Did you ever go on the field thinking that you didn't have a chance to win, even though you played the Miamis in the 80s and the Florida States and things like that?
Well, to be quite honest, okay, playing at Texas Tech, we go down to play the Miami Hurricanes. We go down for about 5 days. It's kind of like a vacation, and and in practice, you feel good about your chances. But after maybe a few plays, You know, and
it starts to change.
It starts to change, you know. And, you know I'm going to compete on my level and with the best of them. I don't care who's out there. But then you have guys on your team that you can see that's just clearly outmatched. Like our offensive line was clearly outmatched. We couldn't pass the ball, so I could run routes all day long and be open. But if we don't have anybody,
Jerome Brown and all them boys,
you know, he take 3 steps and pow. You know, you can't win like that. But I've never gone anywhere and felt like I couldn't win, even in the NFL, because you game plan all week and you're getting paid just as well as the other guy on the field, on the other side of the ball. So you have to go in with that mindset that I'm a win. I'm a winner, and we come out here to compete, and we come out and win. And you know just as well as I do, you know, it's just a few things. It's just a few things here and there that determines a game. You have to have 3 phases of the game, and that's offense. You have to have good defense, and you have to have good special teams. So if you have all those things that are working for you that game, maybe a punt return or a kickoff return can turn the game around. Maybe an interception for a touchdown, a pick 6 can turn the things around. You know, maybe a DB tips the ball and it tips it and it lands in your hand, and you know you score a touchdown. Some of those things are unexpected things, but those are the type of little things that determine the outcome of a ball game week in and week out.
Oh, that's interesting. You know, like I said, I never felt that, and I was just and as a fan, a lot of times, especially as a Cowboy fan, there have been times when I knew it was just going to be how much and how many. You know what I mean?
and going back to that Miami game, they were ranked number 1 in the nation, and when we came out of there, it was just a vacation. I can tell you that. We got beat 63-13. You know, I got my shine on. I caught about 5 passes for about 70, 80 yards, but you know, everybody can't get their shine on. As a team, and I'm a team guy, so it was discouraging to me as a player that we couldn't win as a team. You know, I want to go out and handle my business, because once you say it's 11 guys on the field and you go out and do your job, but football is the most team-based sport there is, because everybody has to do their job. All 11 guys. If all 11 guys are doing their job, then you will be successful. But it just takes one guy not to do his job, and that's offensive guard pulling the wrong way or letting the guy bull rush him and sack the quarterback, and that changes the whole outcome. All 10 guys can do their job and one guy not do their job, and that player is not successful. So it's all about execution and making sure that you're handling your business.
Yes, sir, and that's definitely important, folks. As we like we said, we talked about a little bit earlier. Rocky said La Vega football will be right here on 94.5 Magic, so make sure you guys getting ready for that as they take on Kennedale this weekend, and we're excited to be able to start football season off with one of Waco's best programs. I want to thank everybody who's been watching with us so far. Make sure you guys go on to CentexSports1.com so you can listen to this. Also, download the app on the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, Centex Sports 1. You can download the app. If you want to watch some of this content, you can go on to Centex Sports TV on YouTube and check us out there. Make sure you like and subscribe to that stream as well. Also, you can go on to the Facebook pages of Centex Sports Network and Centex Sports 1 to be able to watch all of the action here.
There's no excuse. No excuse. We're everywhere.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. However you want to watch it or listen to it, you can catch us anywhere. So as we just wrapped up what was kind of a soft opening of football season last weekend, fellas, we got to watch a little bit of college football, and I want to start kind of in your backyard, Rocky, with the SWAC versus MEAC challenge that I got to watch. That was on primetime television on ABC for everybody to watch. Definitely a really good game where FAMU defeated Norfolk State 24-23 in a comeback win, where FAMU kind of put on there and came back in that game and missed field goal and some other opportunities kind of kicked Norfolk State out of it at the end of it. Rocky, I want to let you kind of talk about that game, and a great game we got to see. We've seen Daniel Richardson, 22 for 30 at the quarterback position, 286 yards, 3 touchdowns, as FAMU gets the win in the SWAC versus MEAC Challenge.
Well, it was a great opportunity for the SWAC and the MEAC to showcase HBCU football. FAMU is the defending Black College National Champion for last year. Norfolk State is a team in the MEAC. Is probably a mid-level team. They consistently finished middle of the pack, and it was but they have tooled up over the offseason like most teams have with transfers and things of that nature. But they were playing with a backup quarterback. So coming into the game, I felt like FAMU had the edge, right? However, I felt FAMU had the edge, but I did expect a competitive ball game. I actually was able to get out on the field, get a ground level look at the players, and Norfolk State physically was very impressive. They didn't look like a Division FCS team. They were big and bad.
Yeah.
And FAMU, it was interesting. Norfolk State looked like big, agile athletes. You know what I mean? And FAMU looked like greyhounds, man. They all was slim and athletic looking, man. And that's kind of how the game kind of unfolded. Norfolk was able to push them around in the running game a little bit. And then eventually the speed and conditioning of FAMU I think, allowed them to control the second half of the game, and they were able to come back and take control. Had it not been for a fumble late in the game by FAMU, I think the game would have been a more convincing win for FAMU. But they had a fumble late. Norfolk State came back and scored, in which they decided they got a penalty on the extra point that was blocked. They accepted the penalty, went for 2 and didn't make it, and then FAMU, with 6 minutes and 31 seconds left the game, FAMU was able to run the clock completely out. But I want to say this: it was a tremendous environment. If you're out there and you haven't had a chance to go to a HBCU classic or football game, it is a sensational environment. When you're talking about 20, 30,000 Black people all together cheering, supporting, bands playing playing the greatest hits, music. I mean, it's an environment that I think every person should experience at least one time, especially those people who enjoy and love and appreciate African-American culture. Because in my opinion, the HBCU experience, game day experience, football game day experience is top tier in my opinion. And it offers the best of what Black culture has to offer.
I agree. It is definitely one of the greatest atmospheres that you could ever be around. I went to a Southern Grambling game in New Orleans on Thanksgiving, and it was a culture shock for me. Coming from Texas Tech, and I had never been to a HBCU game before ever, and going to that game, it was such a culture shock, and the atmosphere was so electric. I mean, you talk about some of the top tailgate parties.
Oh yeah,
man. They always talk about LSU and their tailgate, and even at Texas Tech, Baylor here at Baylor, some electric, atmosphere with the tailgate, but it's nothing like I've seen with the Grambling Southern tailgate around the Superdome at the time, and it was a culture shock, and I really enjoyed myself, and I'm like, man, maybe I should have came and played for one of these.
Well, the thing that I always think about, Walker, you were a Southwest Conference standout. You were an all-conference player, right? But I think in some cases, some guys who are probably not stars, who are not transformational players, they could benefit from being on that stage at an HBCU from a cultural standpoint and building a network you can use for the rest of your life. Let me just explain this. When a lot of our kids go out, when I say our kids, I'm talking about black kids, they go to Purdue and the University of Texas and even Texas Tech, they don't become part of that school's network. They're recognized as players and participants and all that, but they're not recognized as foundational parts of the network. And oftentimes, I know, even when I was in junior college, there are some things about the college experience that was foreign to me, wasn't part of my culture and how I grew up. Even though I didn't go to an HBCU, being in that environment, I felt as if I was a part of it, just being in that environment. Right. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes when our kids are going to PWIs, we don't have access to some of those other networks that exist, and we are almost like outsiders within that college atmosphere. And so, in other words, what I'm saying, Walker and Jalen, it's just much easier to fit into the HBCU atmosphere for me. And and sometimes that's the difference. Fitting in is the difference between graduating and not graduating, having a successful career, right, and not having a successful career.
It's being around like-minded people, like the people you grew up with. I mean, Texas Tech was a culture shock for me. But when I was in college, when I was in high school, like I would get letters from Grambling or Southern, and I would throw those letters away because I wanted to play on a grand scale. But nothing against those schools because we weren't informed during those days.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know, the big college football was going to be played in the Southwest Conference. So, when I'm getting letters from Grambling, I'm like, man, I don't want that letter. I'm throwing that away. But to experience that when I went to New Orleans, that's a whole different level. And not looking at the band out there doing marching and, this military marching on the field. And then you got these brothers out here breaking it down and doing their thing, and it's just around like-minded people. You're around your people. And man, that was very exciting, man. And the game wasn't too bad. So, I mean, I really enjoyed it.
Now, that's the one thing that has improved over the years I've been watching. I was introduced to HBCU college sports through Prime. And since Prime has come in the game, in my opinion, the talent, I think it's a combination of things. It's the talent that has increased, but in large part it's due to I believe the transfer portal.
Yeah.
The transfer portal and plus Primetime.
Yeah.
He was able to get Travis Hunter, which was the number one defensive back in the nation, to come to Jackson State.
Yeah, that's huge.
How can you do that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You turn down Florida State, you turn down Miami, you turn down basically every Michigan, wherever he wanted to go, he could have gone. Mm-hmm. But he goes to Jackson State. So
and he fits right in.
He fits right in, So now you're starting to get these guys that are deciding to go and play football at that level because of the atmosphere, because now it's a better brand of football.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think the platform has increased to a point now that, like you said, you guys weren't informed about it back in that day, but now they have the information and they have the platform to be able to play on. I mean, that was pretty inspiring to be able to watch a HBCU game on ABC on primetime television.
I want to say this: the quarterback from FAMU was actually the starting quarterback at FAU last year. He could have stayed another year at FAU and started again. He decided to play with some guys that he's from Miami Carroll High School.
Okay.
So he transferred from FAU probably with some guys that he played with in high school or played against in high school at FAMU. And to be perfectly honest with you, he was the best player on the field Saturday night. And he ultimately was a large factor in how the game turned out. He was 22 of 20. He was 22 of 30, passed for 286 yards, ran 4 times for another 32. He was an impact player on that level. And I went to the press conference after the game, and what surprised me is he doesn't look nothing like a quarterback. he's built like a linebacker.
Yeah. That's what I noticed on watching. I'm like, man, this is a big dude out here playing quarterback, but he's throwing the ball. Yeah. I thought they were going to come in and...
He's 5'10", 220.
Yeah.
He's running over linebackers.
Yeah.
And he got a sweet arm.
Yeah, he does. He definitely does. So that was great to be able to watch that to kind of kick off college football last weekend. We got one other game. I'm sure you guys got to catch at least the highlights, if not watch the game. But Florida State coming in as a powerhouse. They were undefeated last year. They had a lot of gripe about not getting into the college football playoffs, and they wanted to make a mark coming out this weekend. They got to play on an international stage, playing in Dublin, Ireland, taking on Georgia Tech. The Yellow Jackets, so Florida State ranked number 10. They dropped that game, lost by 3 points to Georgia Tech, in what was a pretty underwhelming performance by Florida State. I definitely enjoyed the game and was glad to see that it was a good game. But Florida State was projected to come out and win this game pretty convincingly, just based off of how Georgia Tech's past few years have gone and how Florida State's past few years have gone. I mean, they were ranked number 10 coming in, picked by a lot of people to win the ACC coming into this year, and you dropped the first game against a Georgia Tech team that wasn't projected to finish in the top 3 in the ACC on a national stage. They got the transfer quarterback. I can't pronounce his last name, but DJ. Y'all know who I'm talking about. They call him DJU. He was the number 1 quarterback coming out back in I think 2020. He was ranked in front of Bryce Young, ranked in front of C.J. Stroud in California, playing at St. John Bosco, a powerhouse out there. Pretty underwhelming performance, 193 yards. I think the average air travel time by the ball, I think I saw a stat, it was like negative 0.81 yards. So just about every pass was behind the line of scrimmage, a whole new meaning to dinking and dunking at the quarterback position. So Florida State comes in, kind of lays an egg there. Guys, what do you think about the performance we got to see for the college football opener? We'll start with you, Wayne, on what you thought about that.
Well, it was an international football game. Florida State had high expectations for the season, and they didn't get it done. Everybody wants to make a debate about last year, but I mean, you can't carry last year into this year. One good thing about it is, one bad thing about it is they 0-1. But the good thing is they got 9 more other games to get it corrected, and we have a 12-team playoff for college football this year. So that debate won't come into it won't come into play this year. So they just have to get back on track. Unfortunately for those guys, they were expected to win, and now they're 0-1 in their conference. Yeah, which is more important than just losing. So they got a lot of work to do. And for Georgia Tech, great way to open the season.
Yeah, I don't know what to think about those international games. You're taking 18, 19, 20-year-old kids to Ireland. Yeah, and I don't know how much you can focus on football during that time. I think it's a great win by. I think it's a great win by Georgia Tech. I watched about 3/4 of the game. The football wasn't very good at all. Matter of fact, I would say the SWAC game, the SWAC MEAC Challenge, was played a lot better. Yes. Than Florida State game, even though the level of competition was higher. Mm-hmm. I'm just talking about the crispness, the it was just not a very both quarterback plays were shoddy. You know what I mean? Like
the time change and all that plays a part, because I can just going off of what I know. When I was at Texas Tech, we went to play in Tokyo, Japan. Wow. We had the Miami Dolphin cheerleaders, we had the Gremlin band, and we go all the way across seas to play a football game. And we play in Oklahoma State, which Barry Sanders ran for like $290 on us. But the thing about it is, you can't get used to that in a few days. And we went down for like 5 days. But when you're used to waking up at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and and 8 o'clock in the morning is 7 o'clock at night. There, that's a big difference that your body has to overcome. And I can remember playing in the World League, and we traveled for 3 weeks across seas, and was in Spain and London and Amsterdam, and man, I think we lost 2 games and won 1, but you can the travel and the time change had a lot to do with that. But which both of those teams came from the United States to go over there and play, so it shouldn't be they both had to do the same thing, and they had to go through the same under the same circumstances, so it shouldn't have been a big deal. But it does take a toll on your body.
Yeah. I just think I think once I looked at the game, I thought Florida State was more talented. For sure. It was just a situation where they were doing things in the ball game that I didn't think served their best interest. I think they should have been running that thing down their throat, and they were trying to be cute in the passing game, and it just wasn't working out for them. But the good and the bad thing about Florida State is they get a chance to redeem themselves again on national television.
Yep.
And they have Boston College.
Yep.
They host Boston College on Labor Day. So they'll get a chance to, put another, put out another, some on their resume that looks good.
Yeah.
That'll be a W.
Yeah, taking on Boston College, it better be a W, even though Boston College got a tough team too. And
but think about it. If Florida State loses that game, their season is
it's over.
Yeah,
especially coming out of the ACC.
12 teams or not, you
lose two conference games. That's a wrap.
Yeah. And the ACC might only put out, even with 12 teams, the ACC might only put 1 team in the playoffs. I think they're guaranteeing whoever wins the championship game to get into the playoffs. But I mean,
I'm thinking Clemson.
Yeah. Well, if Clemson gets in, there could be one other team.
It could be Florida State if
they win out,
because they come into the season ranked 10th.
Yeah,
that's a high ranking. So, but you still have to go out and take care of business, which they weren't able to do.
They didn't re-rank them this week, so they still 10th, even though they got.
That'll change after.
But that's what I keep talking about. We're talking. Everybody is 0-0 right there. Everybody's undefeated right there until you go out and play. And Florida State, they just went out and laid an egg, and now they 0-1. So
that good feeling is gone.
Yeah. Long flight from Ireland back to Florida.
Not eternal anymore. Yeah. I mean, it's a huge deal. But I'm looking forward to this upcoming weekend.
Yes.
Of college football. We got some really good games on the slate.
Yeah.
Whenever we get a chance, I'd like to talk about some of the games coming up. Yeah. One of the local games coming here I want to talk about, and I better talk about because my mom was watching.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason why I better mention is because my nephew, Dante Stewart, is the starting free safety for Tarleton State University.
Yes, sir.
And he'll be here at home playing in front of a packed house for all those people that are coming out to see Dante.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They not coming out to see Baylor.
Yeah.
That's how it is. When you come back home, that's what you want. Yeah. You better have 50 fans. When you come back home, you want to have 50 fans and all your high school classmates and everybody coming out to watch you. That's what it's about. When I came home to Baylor to play Baylor, I better see a section. I better see a Wayne Walker section.
Yeah.
Even when I came to run track,
I was there.
I'm gonna get in the end zone. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, every time I came home, I got in the end zone because I'm gonna light Baylor up. I'm coming home. I chose not to go there, but I'm gonna light them up. But we may not win the game, but I'm gonna do mine. I'm gonna get mine rather. And but yeah, you better pack it up. You better be there, man.
Yeah.
And Miss Miller, you gotta be there.
Unfortunately, I'll be on assignment in Miami for the Orange Blossom Classic. Otherwise, I would have been there front row seat. I won't be able to make it, but I will be watching on whatever streaming platform this game is played on. I will be rooting for Dante. He had a real good game last week against McNeese State.
Yeah.
They played in a kickoff game against McNeese State. They won. And again, man, Dante, the La Vega Pirate, standout. He scored the clinching kick return for a touchdown when they won the state championship, man.
Yeah.
He's always been a playmaker, and I expect him to at least get a pick. Against Baylor. Now again, any other game, I'm not rooting for the other team, but family over everything on this side. So all you Baylor loyalists, y'all got to understand I'm going for Dante Stewart. Number 11 in your program, number 1 in my heart.
Yeah. So, that's good. We're definitely going to be tuned in for that game. Before we go to some of the games for this weekend, want to touch a little bit as we get ready to enter into hour number 2 in about 17 minutes. Want to touch a little bit on Coach Prime that's been in these headlines, man. The report came out that he had banned columnists from coming and asking questions for Colorado because of sort of some back and forth that they've had really since Deion's been there. And I want to talk about 2 things with Coach Prime. I want to talk about that, and I also want to talk about as I was watching some of their content on YouTube, how Deion has brought in a reported $113 million to Boulder, Colorado, since arriving there last year. So he's been in the headlines for some questionable decisions, I guess, for some people would say, is how he's gone back and forth with the reporter, but he's still making headlines and doing some good and bringing all of that revenue to the city of Boulder, Colorado, and how he's kind of really turned up that program. So I want to get you guys' opinion on, first, what you thought about this thing with Deion versus the media, how some people have been putting it out there, and then what do you think about the report of the earnings that he's brought into Boulder, Colorado?
Well, for one, they've been unfair to Deion from day one.
Yes.
All these guys want him to be unsuccessful. And Deion is a great friend of mine. I mean, handshaking buddy, that we gonna hug every time we see each other. Came out the same year of college, we're at the combine together and known each other for years and years. But these guys don't want him to be successful. And the questions that they ask him are not questions that you would go and ask Nick Saban.
Yes.
They're not questions that, you would ask any other coach. So they've just been unfair to him. And I don't blame him. I mean, sometimes you have to close the window on some of the things that happen. I don't want to listen to the storm all the time. I'm gonna shed my window.
Yeah.
So he's chosen to shed his window on some things, and good for him. I'm glad he has. I mean, because he's been a class act, and these guys, well, when are you gonna win? When are you gonna do this? It was only his first year.
Yeah.
He went to a team that had no wins. Zero wins. And he was able to go and win 4 games. Mm-hmm. I know people want him to go in and to be undefeated, but it just doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work like that. You have to put your stamp on the program. You have to go out and recruit your guys and put your guys in your system in. And hopefully he'll turn it around. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah.
And but his impact on Boulder and Colorado football, University of Colorado, has been amazing. He has one of the biggest impacts in college football. $113 million to their economy. They spring game. They sold out of their spring game.
Yeah.
You don't get that. But all of their football games are sold out.
Mm-hmm.
So his impact to Colorado is amazing, and it's a great transformation of the things that he brings into a program. I don't see him being there too much longer, maybe another 2 years, and I think he'll be gone.
Well, I just, like I say, I think Deion is different. and those people are expecting Deion to conform to traditional coaching methods, styles, whatever, that's not what he's going to do.
Uh-uh.
And I think some people in the media and in coaching have a problem with him being an innovator in that space and all the attention that he's getting. You know, just like when he was at Jackson State, there were people within the HBCU football didn't appreciate the celebrity coach. You know what I mean? They thought the attention was not warranted. They thought he shouldn't have been given that platform because he didn't have the experience that's usually required for those jobs. But at the end of the day, he was able to shut him up on the HBCU level because he won.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that's what he's gonna have to do at this level.
No doubt.
He gonna have to win.
No doubt.
Now they're gonna be showcased on Thursday, and I'm looking forward to the game.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna place a small wager.
Yeah.
On the game as well. I'm not sure how I'm gonna bet though, because I've seen the spreads from 9.5, all the way down to 7.
Was it North Dakota State?
Yeah, North Dakota State is the underdog.
Yeah, they got Colorado minus 10 right now. I think.
North Dakota
I think they got a minus 10 right now.
Oh, so
on the Colorado.
10.
I think
like
so.
When I looked at it, it was 9.5. At one point, it was 7. So what it seems like to me is people are starting to buy into the Colorado being a little better. Here's the deal. With Colorado, I don't know how much they'll score. I mean, I don't know how many people they can stop, but they're going to put points up. Mm-hmm. They got 4 receivers who've caught for – the only receiver on their roster that hadn't had a 1,000-yard season is Travis Hunter. Yeah. All those other guys that they got, one guy from FAU, the other guy from
Vanderbilt,
yeah.
And that's what they want to do. They want to throw the ball.
Yeah.
You have a quarterback that they're hyping for the Heisman. So you want to throw the ball, absolutely. You have a quarterback that was sacked more times than anybody in college football last year. 52. And so you're hyping him for the Heisman, and so they're going to throw the ball. They're going to play. It's going to be throw and catch with those guys. So they have to get better on the interior, on both sides of the ball, because you were able to run the ball on them and you were able to rush the pass on them. So they just have to get better on that side of the ball, on those in the trenches. Mm-hmm. And if they can do that, they can compete, because they do have viable receivers that can get down the field, and they have a quarterback that can throw the ball and a running back. Yeah. So offensively, they're going to be very, very exciting. As far as the defense part of Colorado, like Rocky said, I don't know who they're going to be able to stop. If they were like they were last year, they're going to be in for a long season.
Yeah.
So hopefully they shored up those things and fix those things. So we'll see. It'll be interesting for Colorado. But I'm rooting for them. But they play North Dakota State, and North Dakota State is
no slouch.
They beat Texas Tech last year.
Yeah.
And Texas Tech went to a bowl.
Yeah.
But they're nothing to play with. So this will be a great way to see what's gonna happen during the season for Colorado, because if you can't beat North Dakota State, you're gonna have to play Utah. You're gonna have to come in. You're gonna have to play Oklahoma State. And they play Texas Tech. They play Texas Tech. I don't know if they play Baylor this year.
They do.
They do.
But they play
and that's they play them in Boulder.
Okay.
And I looked at those tickets, man. Those tickets just ain't affordable for a guy like me, man.
Where? In Colorado?
Yeah. Like you talking about starting at like $460 a seat, man.
I'm not paying to go in one college football game ever. If I can't get in free, if I don't have a connect to get in,
hey, I'm coming with you then.
Yeah.
You can
I'm calling Deion personally. Hey, man.
They owe you on walking.
Yeah. This he always calls me Sweet Pea. Hey, Sweet Pea, every time he see me. Hey, Deion, this is Sweet Pete, man. I need 2 tickets.
Yeah.
And I better get them.
Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting game on Thursday, like you said. North Dakota State, no slouch at all. And I talked about this a little bit last week on the show, and talking about this first 4 games for Colorado and for Baylor, how it kind of collides, and they play in week 4 on September 21st, and both of those is going to be week-defining or season-defining games, really, for both teams. Colorado's got North Dakota State. They've got Nebraska, who's not going to be a slouch this year. I know they got a win against them last year in a pretty competitive game, but we know Matt Rule can turn around programs. He's been heavy in the transfer portal, just like Coach Prime has been heavy in the transfer portal. They got their rivalry game that was – it last year felt like the whole world was watching against Colorado State. Colorado, that game will be week 3. And then week 4, they've got Baylor at home. And so those, I feel like, and then Baylor at the beginning, we just talked about, they've got Tarleton State. Their second game, they've got Utah at Utah. So that's going to be a tough game for Baylor. They got Air Force week 3, and then that week 4 against Colorado. So Baylor could be potentially 2-1 coming into that game. And Colorado could be potentially 3-0 coming into that week 4 game. So I think that could be a pretty possibly season-defining game for both teams coming into that.
I honestly, I'm hoping that both teams are undefeated, to be honest with you, in that game. Baylor has Tarleton. You got to expect Baylor to win that game. You also, they have they have Utah on the road. Mm-hmm. Utah's a solid team. Mm-hmm. But to be honest with you, I think if Baylor just good quarterback play, and if Kyron plays like he played at Utah, at Toledo, and they get that kind of quarterback play, I think they can knock off Utah. And then Air Force, they should be able to handle Air Force. And then the showdown in Boulder between Baylor and Colorado, I'm really looking forward to it. And if you can get an extra ticket, Walker, let me know. I see what the flights look like going to Boulder.
All right, we'll talk about it. But, I agree with you. I think the tough part of the schedule for Baylor is going to be Utah. Yeah. Utah is one of the favorites to win the conference.
Number 12 in the country.
It's going to be tough. That's like saying, Baylor coming. They're going to kick your door in and they're going to come in your living room and sit down. That ain't happening, man. You can't come to my home. The bad part about it is they going to Utah.
Yeah.
Now, if they were coming to Baylor, Utah was coming to Baylor.
It was a close game last year.
Yeah, I would give them a chance. But
Baylor should have won last year.
Yeah, they should have. I know they were playing against the backup, but they should have got that Utah game. I think it was 14-10 when they played them last year. But yeah,
and they're getting them at a good time because it'll still be hot in Utah. Mm-hmm. You won't have no snow around and all that type of stuff. But
the altitude will be that way.
The altitude, no doubt about it. But I think that'll be the only glitch on the schedule for Baylor, and hopefully Baylor will go out and win. But I think that'll be a tough job for them to get done.
No, there definitely will be the underdog in that game. I'm pretty sure of that. I'm just saying, Baylor retooled, this offseason. They should have a significantly higher talent level than they had last year. Specifically, they have to get better quarterback play.
Yeah.
If they can, if
DeQuan Finn.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Mm-hmm. DeQuan Finn is if he's the dynamic quarterback that I believe he is, and that he's shown to be at Toledo, that could propel them to a great season this year. I'm not saying they're gonna make the playoffs or anything like that. I'm just saying they could propel them to have a great season.
Well, they have to this year. They have to. People around Waco are growing very, very impatient. So they have to have a great year this year. And hopefully they'll get things turned around with their quarterback. The defense is going to be better because Dave Aranda is going to be coaching that unit, and he's a great defensive mind. And so the defense will be better, and they will be able to stop people. But their problem will be the offense, so we'll see how that comes along and see what they do in that area. And I'm excited for Baylor, though. I want to see Baylor win.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the city feels a little bit better whenever Baylor is winning, and they can get those competitive juices going, especially as they get towards the end of the season. And they'll have Oklahoma State playing here in Waco. That could potentially be a big game, and their last game against Kansas could be a big game as well. So we're looking forward to that. Folks, want to thank everybody who's been watching with us so far and listening with us so far. We're going to take a short break as we get ready for hour number 2. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of these games coming up for this weekend as we kick off college football season here, and then we'll jump into a little bit of NFL preseason buzz as they get ready to start their season 2. Stay tuned and stay right here, folks. You're watching Centex Primetime on Centex Sports Network and on CBS Sports Central Texas. We'll be right back after this break.
When you suffer an injury at home, work, or on the road involving a car, 18-wheeler, or motorcycle, the first thing you need to do before calling anyone is dial 1-800-INJURIES for locally owned and operated the Zimmerman Law Firm. Hey, this is Big Rich, and the Zimmerman Law Firm has represented thousands of Central Texans in the last 50-plus years and handled more personal injury cases than any other local firm. When you call the Zimmerman Law Firm, you talk to a lawyer, no matter how big or small your case, and they guarantee you're financially taken care of because they only get paid when you win. Hey, don't just take my word for it. Heart of Texas Readers' Choice has named Zimmerman Law Firm the best in Waco. So remember, if you get injured at home, work, or on the road, it just takes one call, y'all, to 1-800-INJURIES or zlawhelp.com for the Zimmerman Law Firm and tell them I told you to call. Principal Office, Waco, Texas. No fee unless you recover. Book your next special event at the Bell Mead Civic Center. From quinceañeras to Christmas parties, the Civic Center has room to accommodate your needs. You're planning that special birthday party, having a family reunion, or training seminar. Book now at the Bell Mead Civic Center. And if you need to rent a room for that big event for your family or business function, the Bell Mead Civic Center is what you're looking for. Let their friendly and knowledgeable staff help take some of the hassle out of planning your next event. Call them today at 799-2418 or visit them at the Bell Mead Civic Center, conveniently located near I-35 and Loop 340. No matter if your event's big or small, they've got room for you.
When you are tired of good enough pizza and want the only authentic Italian quality pizza in town, with dough and sauce made fresh daily in-house, vegetables freshly chopped throughout the day, and meats made using the finest beef, pork, and chicken, I present to you locally owned and operated Marco's Pizza. Marco's has 3 convenient locations to serve you, including across from Pirate Stadium in Belle Meade. Feeding the entire family piping hot, authentic Italian fresh pizza, cheesy bread, and dessert tonight is as easy as going to marcos.com or stopping by the newest location in Belle Meade. Marco's Pizza. Say goodbye to just good enough.
Make your car showroom new inside and out with the complete detail from Nick's Foam & Go. Serving Waco in the Central Texas area, Nick's Foam & Go is fully mobile and the only installer with CB3 ceramic coating. Contact Nick at 254-400-0083. That's 254-400-0083. And when you get your next full detail, mention La Vega Pirates State Champs to get 15% off.
CBS Sports Central Texas, KWBT HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Hood is CBS Sports Central Texas, changing sports radio.
Hello and welcome back into Centex Primetime as we bring you all the primetime topics around Central Texas sports and all sports that we love watching. It is football season, folks, and we have been talking some football up here today. I'm here joined with Rocky Miller and Central Texas legend Wayne Walker as we go through some of these college football matchups, and we're getting ready for the season. Like we said, we just talked about some of the matchups that we got to see last weekend, some potential matchups coming up, and now we'll talk about some of the games that we got for this weekend. I think a really, really good slate. I think NCAA did a good job of putting together some of these games for this weekend. It's a pretty action-packed weekend of football. As we talk about some of the games, what are fellas some of the games that you guys are excited to see? I'll name a couple of them that I'm definitely excited to see. We know we've got the number 1 team in the nation, the Georgia Bulldogs, will be playing on primetime television, taking on Clemson, who's probably now the favorite to come out of that ACC after what we saw from Florida State last weekend. We got Penn State and West Virginia. We always know that's a big game whenever those two get to match up against each other. And we talked a little bit about Baylor and Tarleton State coming up, and one that I'm excited to see as well, Notre Dame and A&M. I think that'll be a pretty good game and kind of determine not determined, but you can kind of get a gauge on where the season is going for both of those teams. Both teams looking to have a better year than they did last year, especially A&M coming in, new coach, and really trying to live up to expectations. They've had a lot of expectations over the last few years, especially with the recruiting class that they got a couple years ago, #1 recruiting class in the nation. A lot of those guys have transferred out, but they still got some of that talent in there, and they've done a good job of recruiting in the other years as well. So excited to see how A&M will fare against Notre Dame as well. What are some of the games that you guys are excited to see this coming up weekend?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to University of Texas playing Colorado State. Colorado State is a team that I think improved their roster. They had a pretty good returning quarterback who had threw for 3,000 yards on their team. So they got a pro level wide receiver as well who caught for over 1,000 yards last year. So I'm definitely looking forward to that game. Another, of course, there's the Colorado game. I'm looking forward to as well, and I'm looking forward actually to seeing Texas A&M. I forget who they're playing.
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
Yeah.
They're playing Notre Dame, and I'm not a Aggie fan, but I always keep my eyes on the Aggies just to see how they're doing.
Yeah.
They're in a real different situation right now in that I don't know if they're rebuilding, retooling. I looked at their over and under, and it was about 8 games.
Yeah.
If they just win 8 games over in Aggieland, they're gonna be quite unhappy.
Yeah.
Especially with Texas coming into the Southeast Conference, so that's their biggest rivalry. And but I'm interested to see the Texas A&M game with Notre Dame. See what the new coach is able to do. But I'm just excited for all the games this weekend, and they start on Thursday.
Yeah.
And they play all the way up into Monday, which is I think Labor Day. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just excited to be watching football this weekend.
Yeah.
So a big weekend for me, for you all, and I'm just ready to sit down and watch some games, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. Like you said, just football season being back. We've got a lot to watch, and we've got high school football on Friday as well. We're going to get to see a little bit of a preview going into the weekend as well. So a lot of football getting played this weekend, like you said. I think we all agreed on some of those matchups. I'm definitely excited to see that A&M and Notre Dame game. Like you said, A&M, if their over and under is 8.5, if they only get 8 games, that's going to be a underwhelming season by their standards, just based on the level of talent that they've had in there over the last few years, even though a lot of those big-name guys have transferred away. I know Jalen Miller, who was one of the biggest receivers coming out of high school football last year, he was committed to going to A&M. He decommitted, and he's in Colorado right now, and he's going to be in that rotation of receivers probably. So that's another big-time recruit that's going to be there for Coach Prime and them. And Evan Stewart, their #1 receiver the last couple years, a huge talent. He's transferred out to Oregon now. So they lost some guys in there, but A&M, I mean, they had such a heavy recruiting class over the last 2 or 3 years, especially 2 years ago when they got, I think, 5 guys out of the top 10 in the nation overall recruits ended up committing to A&M. So they've got some expectations to live up to. They've had some less than up to their standard quarterback play the last few years. So excited to see how they can kind of turn that around down there for A&M.
Well, the NIL has done a lot for A&M.
Yes.
But they weren't able to do that with the quarterback position, which is the position that you need to be successful, to throw to all these playmakers. So, like you said, it's going to be interesting. College football as a whole is going to be interesting this year. We'll know more once we come in and we talk after week 1, then we'll know what's going on. We'll know where everybody is, because you can gauge teams and see where they're really at. Right now, it's just projections by us, by media, by everybody. So until you can actually get on the field and play, we'll know more week 2. I can tell you that.
Hey, I also, excuse my mic, guys. We got some static going on in it. And let me see if we can get that resolved here. Testing 1, 2.
Sounds a little bit better.
Yeah, okay. All right. So hopefully, yeah. Well, what I'm saying here is that another game I'm interested in is that Georgia-Clemson game.
For sure.
I suspect that game to be quite competitive. I expect that game to be, the preview of 2 teams that are expected to be in the playoffs. Georgia, of course, is the number 1 team However, but Clemson is a perennial power in the NCAAs. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what they can do. Will Georgia return back to being what they were the past, before last season? They should be in the playoffs for sure. A lot of people have them picked to win the SEC, but at the end of the day, what is all going to hinge on is how well their quarterback play is, and he's expected to go number 1 overall.
Yeah, Carson Beck.
I don't see that.
Me either.
but that's what they're expecting, and so as a prospect, Walker, what do you see with Carson Beck in Georgia?
Well, one thing that the NFL looks for is winners. So he's been able to win, and he's been able to be efficient. So once you're efficient, you're consistent, and you're a winner, and you're a leader of the number 1 team in college football,
yeah,
that's what they look for. So able to have that type of resume where you win, where you're able to win, where you're able to be the leader of the number 1 team, and you're consistent. Hey, that's what the NFL look. But you have to be a winner. You have to be a winner. You just think about the guy that they had in New England that came from Alabama.
Yeah, Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
See how it's worked out for him, though.
Yeah, he was first round draft choice, but he won in college, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
At a high level.
But he had that resume. So that resume has to be a winning resume. They always take guys as winners. Tim Tebow, they said, wasn't a pro-style quarterback. But Tim Tebow still won in the first round.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tim Tebow still won a playoff game in the NFL.
Yeah.
You just think about all the guys that have been successful in successful college programs and led their team to a national championship. All those guys have played in the NFL.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my deal is he doesn't sound much different, or he doesn't look much different than the guy who went in like the 6th or 7th round. Stetson Bennett. He don't look much different than him.
Yeah, I haven't been too convinced on the hype around Carson Beck. They've got him, like you said, he's first team All-American, so they got him as potentially the best quarterback in the national in the NCAA. So coming in ranked over other guys like a Shador or even like a Dylan Gabriel up there at Oregon. So, well, that's to be determined how that's going to look. And I think Saturday night will show a lot of that, taking on a Clemson team that's kind of hungry, in my opinion, to get back to what the lure that they had those 5 or 6 years there when they had Deshaun Watson, and then right after that, Trevor Lawrence, and they got the kid out of Westlake starting there now, Cade Klubnik, that was projected to be one of the top QBs in the nation, or he was one of the top QBs in the nation coming out of high school.
And that's where the DJ guy went.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where it kind of started going downhill, unfortunately.
True.
Yeah, so excited to see how they're going to fare out against each other. Like we said, we're getting ready for college football season here on Centex Primetime. We're excited to watch those guys. And like we said, excited to come back in next week and be able to talk after these games have gone and see how some of those teams have fared out against each other. I want to thank everybody for watching with us so far, folks. Like we said, make sure you guys are subscribed on the YouTube, the Centex Sports TV on YouTube, and CentexSportsNetwork.com as well. You can go on there and subscribe. if you want to listen to this content every day, 5 to 7, you can go on to Centex Sports One. They have an app on the Google Play Store and on the Apple Store as well. Or you can go to CentexSports1.com and check us out. For those of you guys that's been listening to this, you can actually call in with us or text in with us right here at this number, 1-800-215-0598. That's 1-800-215-0598. Go on there, give us a call, or leave us a text message, and we'll read it out for any of the questions that you guys may have for us and the panel we got up here at Centex Primetime.
Hey, man, the production team here at Centex Sports Network, man, they doing an amazing job, man. We getting all the bells and whistles now, man. You talking about we got Walker over there. You can view Wayne Walker in 4K. You know what I mean? Streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook. You can listen to us on the app, on our app. Not only you can listen to us on on a Apple device. We also got some for them raglan androids out there. You know what I mean? We got an app out there for them raglan androids.
Hey, man, I still use Android. So leave you alone, man. But that's my choice. You can't get me to convert to the iPhone. Man. I don't want there's less fortunate people all over the world, man. And we pray for those folks, but I remember when we didn't have cell phones. So hey, man, Android, but that's my choice. So everybody, then you need to get the iPhone. Flip to the iPhone. Business-wise, you need to get the iPhone. I don't want an iPhone. I want my Android.
Everybody seems to be on one side of the fence when it comes to the iPhone or the Android. Either you got some diehard Android users, just like you got some diehard Apple fans out there, and both of them get the job done. That's what Wayne is all there saying, isn't it? Hey, it's just the phone. Both get the job done.
I just need it for one reason. There's phone calls and text.
Yeah.
Internet every now and then.
Hey, man, live a little. Spoil yourself, man. Get a device that'll take you into the 20th century, man. You ain't got to live. You don't have to live like that, Walker. You don't have to do it.
I don't, but I choose to.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Hey, man, I hate when I have to send out those green text messages.
Yeah, come back in this green.
I feel like I'm being cheated. You know what I mean? But no, man, we got the point is that we have a Android app in the Google Play Store. We have an Apple app. We're on Facebook, and we're also on YouTube. And now we have a call-in number for those people who want to participate and call in, give us your opinion. You're welcome to call in, let us know where you're listening from and what your thoughts are about the topic that we're having today. This is kind of like an off sports news, and so I'm gonna throw you guys a curveball.
Yeah.
Cam Newton said today that, and I'm paraphrasing here. So he says that the reason why he has 8 children by 3 baby mamas, because he fears divorce.
I don't want to touch that subject. I'm going to let y'all have that one.
Cam Newton is an interesting character, somebody that gets kind of misunderstood in the media sometimes, but I think that this topic kind of might go into why sometimes he's a little misunderstood in the media. 8 kids by 3 different women. I mean, just 8 kids in general. I mean, the off season was
sound like he's scared of condoms.
Yeah. Sound like he's scared of a little everything.
But with the money he's made, he can take care of all 8.
He can take care of a village.
Yeah, exactly.
No doubt about it. I mean, I just think that, and it's just another situation in society. And of course, it's a sports show, but we're gonna travel
talk
down
about a little everything.
Travel down all kind of roads.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this: I think we're in a society. We live in a world where if a guy can earn a certain level of money, have a certain level of wealth, access, resources, whatever, people are willing to look over whatever their flaws are, and they can be considered viable people. And I'm not saying, Keith Sweat say there's a right and a wrong way to love somebody, but but in this
I think concussions have been a big part of his game. I mean, he may need to get evaluated. Because some of the things that he has said in the, just in the past year or so, it just doesn't make sense. You're irrelevant, man. You're irrelevant, dude. You're out of football now. So, just stay out of football.
So you don't think he should be giving family planning advice right now?
No, not when you got 8 kids.
I think he should leave that one alone.
Oh, I don't think the 8 kids is the problem. Like I say, the 8 kids are the problem.
I think he's the problem. If he's coming out and saying what he's saying about having the 8 kids, I think Cam might be the problem in that scenario.
And who wants to know that?
Yeah.
Who wants to know that? Why are we talking about it? Because Rocky brought it up. Rocky brought it up. So we want to talk about it.
You gonna blame Rocky?
We want to be all base. We want to be an all-around sports, talk show. So, hey, we're talking about it.
Hey. Well, I think he has more kids than Tom Brady. Tom Brady got a few, right?
Yeah, Tom Brady got a few. He got him beat that way. He don't got him in rings, but he got him in the kids.
Well, that brings up another topic that was on our lineup. That I guess we could talk about something. Cam was the NFL quarterback for many years. Also won the MVP.
Yep.
I guess we can have this conversation. Leading into this conversation is Walker, and I can let you go first on this. What I want to know is, who are your top 5 quarterbacks? And here's my deal. Who are the top 5 guys that you would have liked to play with? You understand what I'm saying?
Man, that's the easy one, man. That's the easy one.
We know who number 1 is.
Yeah, well, he comes from my alma mater.
Yeah,
he's a Texas
exactly.
Tech guy.
He's a Raider.
He has 3 rings. He's and that's Patrick Mahomes.
All right, we got Patrick Mahomes. Number 1.
Joe Burrow is another guy that I would have loved to play with. Winner can just straight throw the ball. I mean, and it's throw and catch when you talk about that type of thing. Probably not one of my top, but one of the top 5 guys I would wanted to play with is Aaron Rodgers. But I don't think he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league.
Okay, I'll accept that. That.
So, and then when you talk about another guy that's Josh Allen, I think is probably one of the top 5 quarterbacks. As far as competitiveness and on that level, I think he's one of the top guys. But then you got a guy down there in Houston, man, that I love the way he plays.
Yes, sir.
I love him, man. I love the way he throws the ball and the way he commands the offense and the way he executes. And nobody expected for him to do those things in his rookie year. And he went out and done them. So year 2 is always a better year, when you're a freshman, you play good, but when you come back as a sophomore year, man, you can play some ball. And you've learned a lot. You learn how to read defense. The game slows down. So I expected for him to have a better year than he did last year.
Yeah.
Also, I think Dax is a good quarterback.
I'm gonna stop.
But I threw Aaron Rodgers in just because.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
So I threw Aaron Rodgers in because, I mean, the guys in what year? 18?
Yeah.
Somewhere up in there, you know. But he's not one of the top quarterbacks. But he's been one of the top quarterbacks over the past that I would have loved to play with because of his competitive spirit and the way his touch on the ball.
Oh yeah.
But I think Dak is a good quarterback. I'm not a Cowboy fan, I can tell you that. But
you grew up a Cowboy fan.
But I'm a fan of the
He's been converted.
I
grew up a Cowboy fan.
But let me tell you this: I'm a fan of the teams who paid me. So
okay, that's a valid reason.
For. So and that's the Chargers and the Vikings.
Yeah.
So anything else is irrelevant. But I mean, I like to mess with you about the Cowboys. but when we're talking about quarterbacks, I think Dax is the quarterback. And then we got some good young guys that, man, that are going to be great, man. We got some guys that's coming into the league, and I think I think 4 guys this year that got drafted this year are going to be starters on teams.
Yeah.
So I brought this question up. I kind of knew this kind of loaded question. So when I said him, when I ask quarterbacks he like to play with, I know that's gonna twist the question because we've had this debate for 20 years.
Right.
Walker doesn't like mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
Let me say this. It's not that he doesn't like quarterback. He doesn't want to play with him.
Yeah. He wants the ball.
No, you got to block.
Yeah.
you have to block. When you play with a mobile quarterback, you have to block. You have to be on alert. But then, too, it can be, a blessing because in Canada, I played with a mobile quarterback, and, man, he would scramble, and all you had to do was just find a little space or get open because, your route can be set down, and he's in the pocket, and the next thing you know, he's rolling, and he's telling you to do this. He's waving you on, and then you just throw the ball. Yeah, and you just throw the ball up. It could be an advantage, but I like pocket passes.
Yeah.
I know
somebody who will get that ball out on time.
Yeah, they're going to toss the ball.
If you're going to run that route, you want that ball.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So that's what me and Walker talked about for years is that a running quarterback you end up running a lot of routes that never get the ball delivered, and sometimes you may be wide open, and the Joker just may take off running. And
it don't take much for him to take off. He patting it, and then just tuck and start running. So,
back in that era, it's hard enough to get a guy to get the coach to call a running play.
Exactly. You just think about the time when I played. Like we always talk about football evolving, and it has because when I played, it was run heavy. Now we're pass heavy. 70% pass nowadays compared to maybe 60% run, 40% pass back then. So when you did throw the ball, you need to throw the ball.
Yeah. I definitely get that, especially coming from your perspective on that. I agree, though, with most of those quarterbacks. My top 5 look pretty similar besides the one person that you left out, the 2-time MVP, that I have to put into my list. I think we talked about this last week on the show, too, with some of the guys I had on, and they were taking apart my list. But in my top 5, I had number 1 is obvious, Mahomes. That's a given to go. I put Lamar at 2 because of see, I knew Walker was going. He was going to throw my list in the trash after that. Look, I put Lamar at 2, not only because of his ability to throw, but the run I think adds another level to his play. If you're talking about pocket passers, obviously he's not going to be in there with the other guys I got here in my top 5 as well. But if you're talking about what he brings overall and how he can have a defense on pins and needles, I think you got to put Lamar in there just because of what he's capable. Even if you don't put him as high as I do, I put him that high. He's a 2-time MVP. One of the best players in the league. At 3, I had Joe Burrow. I think after Mahomes, arguably one of the best spinners of the football in the league. The only guy to really beat Mahomes in the AFC since Brady's left the AFC has been Joe Burrow. And like what he's got going on down there in Cincinnati. 4, I got Josh Allen. Like you said, he can throw the ball. Dude's got a cannon for an arm and also can be mobile at times if you need him to. I don't like when he does that Fred Flintstone stuff and just starts running into people. I like for when he actually throws the ball. But he is athletic and brings another dimension to it. And number 5, I got to throw my team in there, the Texans. I got to put C.J. Stroud in there. I like what he did his rookie year. Obviously, that could be a little bit biased. I'm a Texans fan.
Absolutely.
But it's not.
He's a dog, though.
He's a baller. He's a baller.
So let me give you mine. Mine is pretty simple. First, you got to pay homage to Patrick Mahomes.
Of course.
He's the man. Yeah. And in my opinion, he's ascending to GOAT status.
Yeah.
The way he plays the game, the way that the team it's been on his shoulders ever since he took the helm. And so, and he's been to 4 Super Bowls, won 3. I can't, man, it is what it is. I mean, he's only been to 3, right?
He's been to 4 and won 3.
He lost 1?
He lost against Brady in Tampa in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. So he's been to 4, played in 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, won 3, so you can't blame him for that. The other guy right behind him, I agree with you. Lamar is right behind him. I mean, when you look at the efficiency, how he plays, man, you can't. He dominates the game. Next, I like Josh Allen over Joe Burrow, right?
Okay.
I think you just get more with Josh Allen. You just get more. Josh Allen plays in cold weather. He carries his team. He doesn't have the complement of receivers that Joe Burrow has. And so, that's why I think Josh Allen is just a better player. Joe Burrow is 4 for me. I give it to Joe Burrow, no doubt. And number 5, you guys are going to be really surprised about this one. Dakota Rain.
Shocking. Shocking.
I mean, you could go. I mean, it's a debate.
Yeah. Those are interchangeable.
Because I would say Jordan Love is, man, the year he had last year.
Man, he had 5 games. Quick.
Well, one of them was his last game.
Yeah.
And that was the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Come on.
I mean, but that was his first year as a true starter. So
yeah.
I mean, you see, he has it. He has it in him. And like year 2, he'll be better. But now they have expectations. So let's see if he can meet them. So, Lamar, he's one of my top quarterbacks, but he's not in my top 5. But he might be 6 or 7 with me.
Yeah.
But he does do a lot for his team. He carries his team. Ultimate competitor, and he's won games. He just can't get to the big one. So for me, the number 1 guy is that guy from Red Raider land.
For sure,
Patrick Mahomes.
Well, like I say, I don't think there's much debate there.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Mahomes' success that he's had the last 5 years, I think it's probably unprecedented at the quarterback position. If you package his first 6 years starting, and you talking about an AFC championship that he lost to Brady, then he comes back and wins the Super Bowl, loses to Brady. Loses to the championship game to Burrow.
Yeah.
Then comes back, goes to Super Bowl, loses to Brady, and then wins the next 2, and then poised to do a 3-peat.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think you can. You put those 6 years up against anybody's 6 years.
Anybody's.
Well, I heard you were rooting for Trey Lance to replace Scott.
Not after that last preseason game.
What do you know about quarterbacking?
Not after that last preseason game. I don't think anybody's saying that.
I saw some highlights of that game, man, and I'm telling you, I saw a guy play like that last year, and his name was Justin Fields. If you put him in a Bears jersey, that's what it looked like. A guy that was super talented, but very erratic throwing the football. I don't know if they're not reading defenses. I don't know if they're not playing a system that's complementary to their skill set. But it puzzles me when I see guys that talented that can't seem to be able to consistently execute, because you see flashes, you see moments.
But the problem I have is in preseason, everything is pretty much vanilla. It's just cover 1, cover 2. Nobody's showing their hand. Nobody's
hybrid coverages.
No, none of that. Nobody's trying to disguise coverages. Nobody's doing anything, hybrid. So, and if you can't complete passes against just regular coverage, just cover 1, cover 2, then you're gonna have a problem once they start game planning for you.
Yeah.
And when they game plan for you on a weekly basis, it's all about, hey, what can this guy not do? So they're gonna play you to your weakness. They're not gonna play you to your strengths. They're gonna try to take your strengths away. So
and it seems like the one thing that he struggles with, and maybe you can kind of explain this, Walker, is that he struggles to throw the short passing game on time, like in rhythm. I don't know if he doesn't see it clearly or whatever, but he can't seem to throw it with a rhythm and timing that's required to execute it. And it's almost like it's more difficult for him to throw a 5-yard pass than it is a 15-yard pass.
And that's just practice, man. I mean, and that's because you have to practice like you play. Like you have to go out there, and when you're a quarterback, the weight of the offense is in your control. Like you're commanding the offense. So you have to go out, and those little things like that, that's easy stuff. So if you can't complete these, you're not going to be able to complete the hard routes. Like the deep routes, anybody can throw a deep route because all you're doing is just winding up and throwing the ball. You know, it's those intermediate routes, it's those short routes that you have to be consistent on, and to really be a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, on the Cowboys, we weren't in the studio. You guys talked about it yesterday, but I wanted to I know Walker was happy about this. Anytime a receiver gets paid, you're ecstatic about it.
What took so long is my only problem.
Yeah.
You knew where he was going to fall.
Mm-hmm.
You know you got to pay him at least $1 million less than what Justin Jefferson got. So what took you so long? Everybody knew this. Where he was going to fall.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, and I mentioned this last week, that the NFL disperses their television royalty check Monday.
I believe so.
But Jerry Jones don't need that.
Yeah,
you say he don't.
Money already in the bank.
His team is worth $10 billion. He don't need that. He has the highest parking, the highest concessions in the whole league.
Everything.
Even higher in New York. I mean, you're winning, man.
Yeah, he got the bread.
Arlington. You got Arlington. To move from Irving to Arlington, do you know what this man got?
A lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it doesn't take that. You're going to have to pay him anyway.
Yeah.
But you jeopardize your season, and you jeopardize his health without him being on the field and not getting repetitions during the season because you waited till a week before game time to play.
Can he be ready to play in 2 weeks, Walker?
He can be ready to play, but he's not going to be able to play because you just think about it. These other guys been out there for 2 months. So,
yeah.
I mean,
he been running routes on air, ain't he?
Yeah, you can go to the beach and you can run. You can go to the beach and run on the beach, and you can.
I don't think
you can go to your high school, your local high school or somewhere, and you can practice, but you can't replicate what you do with the guys on the field.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the only problem that they're going to have.
I agree.
But Jerry took too long in that, man, because you already knew where he was going to fall. You know, I mean, the $30 million signing bonus, so is icing on the cake.
Yeah. 38 mil.
38 mil?
38.
So 38 mil signing bonus?
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's unprecedented.
Yeah, that's big.
Yeah,
and looking at the contracts for the top.
I thought Reed got a bigger signing bonus than that.
He might have got.
Tyreek.
No.
I don't think I'm gonna look it up to see what his total was for a signing bonus.
That's when you go out and fill the contract out. That tells something to you right there. That's when you sign it, huh?
Yeah.
I got 38 for you.
38
NFL, I think the NFL rules is you got 48 hours to wire that signing bonus.
Hey, it's good.
Oh,
It's
it's
gonna be a good Labor Day weekend for CeeDee Lamb.
I don't even think it's 48. I think once you sign it, that's.
They got it's a.
Well, I know when I got mine in Minnesota, I brought it home. I can't speak on.
You got a check.
Well, I got a check. He got. Yeah,
it is direct deposit.
Was Chapman's able to cash that check you had? Was Chapman's able to cash
I had a bank account. You talking about Chapman? I can't take 100,000 to Chapman.
I'm about to say you're gonna leave with the keys to the building. You go try to check it.
But 100,000 compared to
38 million.
38 million. That ain't.
Born a little bit too early is what I'm hearing.
Exactly.
If you was in this era and got to see some of these
contracts, man. And I mean, you got guys that's on practice roster making $180,000.
Yeah.
Well, you can look it up, but I think the minimum salary now is close to $800,000.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Like I'm talking about the,
Yeah, and when I made 130 my first year, and then 180 my second year, like that's just, man.
And the taxes were higher back then.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you getting less of the pie.
But 38 million.
I think the salary, the minimum right now, for salary per week is 12.5. So 12,500 per week. That's per week.
Yeah.
If you get it, if you're breaking it down like that. So the per week for the NFL minimum is 12.5, and I think 16.5 for practice squad players. But the overall total contract, $795,000 is the league minimum.
I told you 800.
That's insane.
Born just a little bit too early.
We take back 3 years out. 3 years now. But that's
Hey, well, Walker, and they don't even have to deal with concussion problems now because they playing touch almost.
Exactly. I mean, it's a receiver league now.
Yeah.
It's a quarterback receiver league. The running backs have been, devalued. You think about it when Herschel Walker and all these guys that won the Heisman. I mean, they don't even win Heismans anymore.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, who was the last one? Najee Harris, or was it
No.
who was it? Running back.
Wasn't it the guy Taylor? Did Taylor win the Heisman? No, he didn't win.
No, he didn't win it.
The last running back to win the Heisman?
Who was the guy from Alabama?
Derrick Henry.
But
Derrick Henry
I
won
think,
it.
but I think it was another guy that they had that won it as well.
Josh Jacobs?
Look up the list.
No, not Josh Jacobs.
No. We have research. We have research here. So
last running back to win 2015, Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. Okay.
2015.
Thank you very much.
That's the last one to win. It's been
so that tells you a lot about the league.
every year after that a quarterback besides when Devontae Smith did it in 2020.
Yes.
Every year since 2015 has been a
It's the
quarterback.
signal callers and the receivers that are getting them. So now you just think about it. You couldn't even imagine a receiver getting paid more than a running back 20 years ago.
No, you
It
couldn't.
wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. Even when Emmitt Smith, around that era, the running backs were the main guys, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, and all those guys. Those were the guys that were getting paid. Now, running backs, I think the highest paid running back in the league is maybe $13 million.
Yeah, I think it's McCaffrey at 13 mil.
I think quarterbacks are overpaid, to be perfectly honest with you.
I think that
Do you?
I understand it's the hardest job, but I kind of agree with. I mean, some of these contracts are.
So what do you want, the owners to get all the money? They
No, hey.
they have $34 billion television deals going on.
So Dak. So look, think about this, Walker. Dak gets $60 million. I think he's up 25% of the salary cap, something like that, some ridiculous number like that.
Yeah.
He gets $60 million. He's not $30 million better than CeeDee Lamb annually.
No, he's not. But the position dictates that. Okay? Patrick Mahomes is not even one of the top paid quarterbacks. He's not even one of the top 5. And he didn't won the last 2 Super Bowl rings.
Yep.
So you just think about that. But he don't want that because he wants his team around him to thrive and he wants to win. So Dak wants to get his money. He want to get his money, right? So he's not taking a pay cut. He's not taking he's not giving him a layaway plan. You understand what I'm saying? So Dax is going to get all of his, but that's on the Cowboys that they didn't go back and they didn't re-sign him when they should have.
Yeah.
Even with CeeDee Lamb. Like when the market was first being set, that's when you go and say, hey, after the season was over or during the season last year, they should have said, hey, CD, this is what we want to pay you. And I'm sure Justin Jefferson would have came and got more money, but he would have set the market and then they wouldn't even be worrying about paying CeeDee Lamb what they're paying him now.
And I think that's what got the Chiefs in the position that they're in now to be able to get the talent that they have because they locked up Mahomes on a 10-year deal, I think, and nobody had been doing anything close to that. And he's tied right now for 11th highest paid player in the league.
Exactly.
Everybody in front of him is quarterbacks.
Yeah. So out of good faith, the team go to him, and that's the same thing Philadelphia did. They go to Devontae Smith, they go to Brown, and they say, hey, let's redo this, so they won't have to worry about it, and they won't have to worry about it in the near future. You got these guys already locked up.
Yep.
And now you at the top. You're at the top of the bracket of what the receivers are being paid, so you don't even have to worry about going back in and doing that. But you have to go in with good faith. I would have went in with Parsons. They should have did it after Dak's first good year in football and say, "Hey, this is what we're gonna do." Tony Romo, when he was a Cowboy, they went and did it. They went and did it with him.
Mm-hmm.
They went and did it with him.
You know, as a fan, it's quite frustrating because I see teams like. Let me just give you an example. I see teams like Philly. They never use the salary cap. I mean, not the salary cap, the franchise. On their key players, they never use the franchise tag.
And these are guys that you drafted.
Yeah.
These are your hometown guys.
I think Kansas City used the franchise tag one time, and they may have used
Chris
it again.
Jones.
Chris Jones, yeah.
But they ended up redoing his deal.
Yep, exactly. In good faith.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They end up redoing his deal. It seems like Jerry Jones always finds himself in the with the good players.
Yeah.
With the players that he draft though. And that's the thing about it. These are guys that you draft. I mean, you could go back to the Michael Irvin contract. You go to Emmett. Troy Aikman didn't have to do that. You just went in to Troy Aikman and say, hey, this is what we want to pay you, and it was at the top of the market. Tony Romo didn't have to do that.
Well, and like we
Dez
said,
Bryant had problems with his contract.
Yep.
They let Dez's expire.
Exactly.
Yeah. He wanted to get re-signed, and I think he said they offered him something crazy. I forget what it was, but it wasn't even top
and you think
8
about,
or 9
and you
in the
think
league
about,
at the time for the receiver position.
They offered him $10 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
When like something ridiculous.
People out there
And he
getting 30 and 40.
He ended up signing for like 75. You know what I mean? I just think Jerry Jones is a shrewd businessman, no doubt. But I think he ends up in these contract disputes year after year, and I don't get it. You know, the quarterback market, in my opinion, is grossly inflated. You have guys that are, in some cases, not proven, and they ended up getting paid enormous salaries.
Jordan Love, the highest paid in the league right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't have paid Jordan Love what I paid him, but
then you get into the Dak situation, right? If you don't go and pay him now, and then I mean, you're gonna end up with the same thing.
You get Trey Lance.
Exactly.
You trade the Cowboys' first round pick for Trey Lance, problem solved.
And yeah. And being
nobody
smart as
giving up
San
no first
Francisco.
round. Yeah.
And then you being smart as San Francisco.
Yeah.
You know, you
able to do what they did.
take Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, start him, and then you take the third pick in the draft overall, and you trade him.
So to Dak's, I understand why Dak doesn't give the Cowboys any break financially.
I understand.
They draft him as a fourth round pick.
Yep, fourth round.
Right. He makes $400,000 his first 3 years in the league annually. Right. I want to say he got one of those share payments 1 year. You know when the NFL has a pot of money that if you outperform what you're getting paid, they give you a share. I think 1 year he got a couple $1 million through that. But when they could have extended his contract, all that kind of stuff, they let it expire and then use the franchise tag on him. And I thought that was dirty pool right there. I thought
Green Bay is smart. That's why Green Bay is smart for signing Jordan Love right now. Because if he underperforms, if he don't perform at the same level, then you get out of that contract and then you move on. You know what I'm saying? But if he outperforms anything,
but his guarantee is ridiculous, isn't it? And his guarantee like 160,
it's something crazy. I'm looking at just the per year right here.
You got to go with the market though.
But they gave him 75 on the day he signed.
That's what it's all about. You get your money up front.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins is proof of that.
Yeah, and Kirk Cousins, is what Dax is now. Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has made more money than any quarterback in the league.
Yep.
He's the highest paid player ever in the NFL, I would say. Maybe Tom Brady is.
I think Tom Brady has earned more money, but
he's played for 20 years.
But he played for 20 years. But again, like even take like a guy like
Tom Brady didn't even have the Kirk Cousins type of money.
No, but what Kirk Cousins did, he played on 2 franchise tags, right? Right. He played on 2 franchise. He's a 4th round pick. Yes. He played on 2 first franchise tags. Then went to Minnesota and got 3 for $84.
Fully guaranteed.
You know,
did it again.
Then signed an extension for 2 years on that last year, fully guaranteed again.
Yep.
For how much this time?
No, we want to say 60. He got like 65. Yeah. And then this time, what they give him? 100 guaranteed and like 160 over 4, something ridiculous.
And that's what Dax is what Kirk Cousins was. The same deal, playing on that franchise tag and doing all that. 4th round draft choice. You know, Washington didn't sign him. He was able to move on free agency. He chose to move on, though.
Yeah.
You know, because he was there with Robert Griffin. Robert Griffin was the first, was with the 3rd pick.
Second behind Andrew Luck.
Yeah, 2nd pick. Okay. So, Robert Griffin goes in, doesn't get along with Gruden.
The Shanahans.
Was it Shanahan first?
It was Shanahan.
It was Jay Gruden, I think, that he had got into it with.
But I thought the Shanahans was there drafted him, though.
It might have been the Shanahans that drafted him. I know Kyle Shanahan was on that staff.
I know him.
Kyle Shanahan was on that staff, and Jay Gruden
he was offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
he was offensive coordinator. Shanahan.
But they fired Shanahan the year after Robert Griffin got hurt. They fired Shanahan and hired Gruden. You're right.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Gruden was the head coach, though.
No. What I'm saying, what happened is, the Shanahans drafted Robert Griffin. They went to the playoffs. The next year, Robert Griffin got hurt, right?
And he was with Jay.
Yeah.
And Jay is an ex-teammate of mine in the Arena Football League. Yeah. So I know Jay on a personal, which is a really good guy. And I don't know what his coaching ability is and what his coaching style is, but as a quarterback and as a good friend of mine, I don't know how no one can get along. But I don't know that story, but I know him and Robert Griffin didn't get along, and then Kirk Cousins ended up being his guy.
Yeah.
And after Kirk Cousins, just like you said, they had that sure bonus or whatever. He outplayed his draft status, and the rest is history. And now this man has made probably over $400 million in the NFL.
His last contract, 4 years, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed, $50 million signing bonus.
Signing bonus. That's what you want.
Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins and his agent are probably the best to do it in any sport.
Exactly.
In any sport.
Dak is approaching because, like I say, Dak got those. Dak got that 20-something, and then he came back and he gonna get all of this 160. Like I didn't know he was going. I didn't think he was gonna get it because the way Dak's contract was structured, Dak took like maybe 60 or 70 up front, and then he played 3 years with a lower salary, but then that last year, which is this year, he counts $60 million against the salary cap. I thought they were gonna, redo. I think his contract was written to incentivize the team to redo his deal to lower his cap number.
Right.
Not happening.
They didn't. They tried. They tried. They went to him and tried to get him to restructure that deal. Dak knows what he's doing, man.
They messed it up.
Give me the money.
Yeah.
and if they were smart, they would go right now and start talking to Michael Parsons' agent. You know.
Yeah.
Even though
you gotta give him some money now, though. You're gonna have to give him some money now.
Yeah. I would. I absolutely would. I know his level of play is not gonna taper out. I know what I got in Michael Parsons, so why not pay him now?
Yeah. Because it's only gonna get cheaper it's only gonna get more expensive as you go. So if you lock them up now, like the Mahomes deal, they locked him up for 10 years for $500 million, and everybody saw the number, but they got cheaper.
Hassan Reddick, he's there for a new contract. So what if Hassan Reddick goes out and get this massive payday, right? Well, Michael Parsons is when his come up. What is he gonna want?
He gonna want that
more.
colossal.
Yes, he's gonna want more. I'm
He
younger.
gonna want that colossal.
I'm younger. I have a bigger impact in the game than he does. So I want to be paid that way. So if I'm the Cowboys, I go and lock him down right now.
I think he's going into his last year, I think, on the deal. So or his deal expires in 2025. So I think you got to go in and try to lock him up now. Like you said, it's only going to get more expensive if they haven't learned their lesson by now. But Jerry Jones, from his recent quotes over the last couple of days, has said he doesn't, in more explicit terms, nobody else is going to be the GM. I know what I'm doing, and nobody knows more than me what to do as far as the GM.
Well, I think Jerry liked the idea of him spending his own money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's basically what I'm saying is somebody going to spend my money, it's going to be me.
Yeah.
That's basically what he's saying. And again, let's be honest. Ever since, as a Cowboy fan, there was a little dip in, acquisition of talent for a while, especially when you're talking about right around the time we first got Tony Romo in at quarterback. There was a lull. But ever since we've had Will McClay.
Yeah, Will McClay.
Will McClay in the fold, we've done really good drafting going back probably 8 years now.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know Will or anything like that.
With the Rice, played against me in college. Good guy, was our conference from the Southwest Conference.
What did he play?
Played during my era, same year.
What position I'm talking about?
He was a safety.
Yeah.
Safety. He was a defensive player, but I think he's safety.
Yeah, and so ever since he coached that 1 year that he coached that arena team, and then after that they moved him up to work for the Cowboys. He's worked for the Cowboys ever since. He's the guy that drafted Frederick, Zach Martin, all those guys.
Great job.
He's done a great job. They've changed his title several times to keep people from hiring him away. Mm-hmm. He's been offered several GM jobs, but they've had to elevate him up to he's vice president or something now.
Vice president of player personnel.
Yeah, so they had to
keep changing his title
so the teams couldn't hire him off. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Right. But he's done a great job there.
Amazing job.
Because he was he was the head of scouting or something like that for a while. And then when somebody was going to hire him for a GM.
He's been the assistant director of player personnel since 2013 for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So that's when a lot of that talent, like you said.
Oh, yeah.
Zach Martin.
And like he got promoted to VP, vice president, when one of the Cowboys coaches went to another job. And
in 2017 when he got that job.
Yes, one of the Cowboys coaches. Who did we get? Who did we lose then? Who's our coach then? We had Jason Garrett. And somebody left. Somebody, our defensive coordinator, somebody left. And then they wanted to take Will with them, and they were like, nah, you're not taking Will. We're going to make him vice president. So they didn't have to let him go.
I think Garrett went to New York then, right?
Yeah, Garrett, when he left, he ended up going to New York before they eventually fired him. And they've had McCarthy in there the last couple of years, and his regime, I thought after last year, that might have been his last year, but they brought him back. They wanted to keep the same regime in there, and they lost Kellen Moore a few years ago. He's with the Eagles now, of course. I think everybody that leaves the Cowboys ends up going to Philly or New York some kind of way. But Kellen Moore is with the Eagles this year. I think he left and went to San Diego, got fired from there, and now he's on Philly.
Hey man, I watched a little Hard Knocks last night, man. I kind of fell asleep on it. It was going really good. I just got tired. But yeah, I'm looking forward to going watching the rest of the Hard Knocks series, man. So if y'all out there get a chance, check out Hard Knocks. Caleb Williams is Caleb Williams is a really cool kid, man. He seems like he's having a lot of fun out there, and he's really bonding with his teammates. So, as a quarterback, I love to see black quarterbacks playing the game, because when I was a kid, it wasn't something that we saw very much, other than Vince Evans and Doug Williams. Those are the
Warren Moon.
Warren Moon. Yeah,
as it started to progress. And he's got. I mean, they did as
Randall
I think.
Sure.
Yeah. It was. They don't like to talk about that history very much of the NFL, about how
but it is
black.
what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is. So when I see a guy like Caleb Williams. I mean, I really want him to be successful, even though he's not a Cowboy. I really want him to be successful.
They built a great team around him down there in Chicago.
You got Jaden Daniels. You got some
sensational guys.
That's coming along, man. That's gonna be and for one of his preseason games. His attire was he walks in with a Doug Williams jersey on.
Yeah, paying homage.
Paying homage to the past, to the guys that started it all. Yeah,
that did it.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch.
For those guys, young people out there that don't know, Doug Williams was the first black quarterback to win a Super Bowl as a starting quarterback. So Doug Williams is a legendary figure in NFL football.
HBCU product.
Yeah, absolutely right. Graduated from Grambling University and played for Eddie Robinson, the legendary Eddie Robinson.
Yes,
so yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to watch Caleb Williams too. Like you said, just this season, I think they've done probably the best job that you could do as far as giving him talent around him. Something they definitely didn't do for Justin Fields. I don't know if he would have used it the right way or not, but they surrounded him with a lot of talent in Chicago with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen and drafting Rome Odunze from Washington. So. Excited to see that, and like I'm gonna tune in to Hard Knocks tonight too. Once I get home and get settled, I'll be watching from there. But want to thank you guys for coming on with me today, man. I really appreciate you guys jumping on the show with me, and definitely excited to talk some more ball with you guys as we move further into the week. I know we'll have some things lined up for the next few Saturdays as well for you guys getting ready to tune in. But want to thank everybody for tuning in with us today. Make sure you guys like and share this stream. Make sure you go on to YouTube, Centex Sports Network, Centex Sports TV. Check us out there, CentexSportsNetwork.com as well. Also, go and download the app for Centex Sports One, the Centex Sports One app. And also check it out on CentexSports1.com as well. Folks, we're going to do this thing again tomorrow. We'll be back for some more action. We're talking some more football as we get closer and closer to the start of football season. We'll be back here tomorrow 5 to 7. Make sure you guys tune in. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm your host, Jalen Gillis, and Centex Primetime will be back tomorrow. We will see you guys then. Have a good night.
CBS Sports Central Texas, KWBT HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Hood is CBS Sports Central Texas, changing sports radio.